Ever been to a great party and somehow you found yourself in the kitchen having an amazing conversation? Happens to me all the time. What if we could capture those moments or have more of them? So I called a couple of my friends to help me cook up some conversations in the kitchen. Welcome to Kitchen Talk. Welcome to Kitchen Talk. So glad you guys can join us again.
Yeah.
We have a special guest with us today, Mataki Akbar.
Hello.
One of Tallahassee's finest attorneys.
The finest.
And a friend of yours, right?
Yes, he is.
Wow.
Good friend.
Are y'all the same frat?
No.
I heard y'all talking about.
I'm his father's in my fraternity.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Another distinguished gentleman. You know.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
Welcome into
Yeah,
your kitchen.
to the kitchen. To the kitchen. Yeah. They sizzle a little bit.
Yeah,
They really do. They really do. But I was thinking, you guys play spades?
I do. I mean, if you're from Tallahassee, you gotta learn how to play stage.
You do have to
I mean,
learn.
it's almost like an unwritten rule.
That is
If you in the
true.
FAMU,
If you in the FAMU, if you from Tallahassee, you learn how to play spades at the park,
somewhere
in the library,
in the kitchen.
right, somewhere. Somebody.
I think that's why I had to leave my first high school, because that's the only thing I learned how to play with.
Oh, wow.
So I had to go to a better high school.
Oh, a different high school.
A better
Whatever. Education is education.
Spades is an education too.
It is an education, ain't it?
You gotta,
especially in the black community. Especially in the
It is an education, definitely. So I was thinking, since we got 4, we could,
get it off.
yeah, do a little something,
But you can't play spades with everybody. You have to have the right partner.
Really?
It's like voting. You can't vote for anybody. You have to
Really?
have the right partner.
Really?
I'm serious.
I'm just saying, you can play, but it depends on how deep y'all get into it,
Oh,
though.
we deep.
Oh,
Yeah.
well then, I don't know. We might have to put these up.
Go ahead. We
Y'all
can roll
too
it.
much.
We can
Y'all
roll
too
it
much.
out.
But I was thinking that you mentioned voting. Do you guys remember when you registered?
Yes, I actually do.
Do you?
My dad and mom were big on voting.
Mm-hmm.
So I was literally graduating. And my dad said, well, you coming with me to vote. So we registered, we went down and we voted for the candidates. But it was a big deal. It was almost like me getting my driver's license.
Big
He made
deal.
it like a big
Wow.
deal. My first car, it was that serious. To this day, my dad calls me and says, hey, are you watching the elections? Are you keeping up with this? I'm like, yeah, Dad, I'm in it.
Wow.
So in our family, it's like watching a sporting event.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was not taken lightly.
Yeah.
Whereas I
Cool.
know a lot of people, they take it lightly,
Cool.
and then we suffer.
I remember just thinking that I didn't really know a whole lot about it. I mean, I knew my parents voted, but it wasn't like, we sat around the dinner table and talked about, this candidate or this law or how this went. You learn whatever in social studies. And I remember going to a Najee concert, and they were like, oh, are you registered to vote? And I was like, no. Well, you need to register to vote. Okay. Just sign the paper, whatever. And I vote, but I just, it wasn't.
It wasn't a big deal. Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. At what, 18, 19 years old. But what is at that age?
Which is funny because learning how to play spades. It's
That was a big deal.
Really? Like, you gotta vote. Learn how to
Right.
vote.
What
But
about you?
I remember registering when I was in undergrad in Atlanta. I went to Morehouse, and it was something that was just important to me personally. I just said, hey, I need to go register, and I registered and voted in the first elections up there. And I think my first 4 years of actually voting, it was in Atlanta, because I turned 18 once I went to college. So I didn't register before I left Tallahassee. But it was personally, it was just, for me, it was a big deal. It wasn't a family thing or a big push, but I just knew that that was something I needed to be a part of.
Yeah. JT?
Me being from Tallahassee, I guess you could say, because I've been here for so long. I remember my grandmother expressing how important it was to vote. I remember going down and we signing all these papers and this and that, and it didn't seem that important to me at the time, but as I learned, being in school and everything, was in contact with Louis Dilbert, who was
That's my good friend.
yeah. So you know Louis.
Yeah.
He would always let me know who or what is going on with certain amendments, what I should be voting for, what I should be looking out for.
Right.
So I appreciate people like that, and it kind of turned me on to more stuff when it came to voting.
Right.
So do you guys think like today we just kind of take it for granted?
I think for years we have, and I think with the current administration, the presidency, with that administration is kind of bringing it to the forefront how important it is to vote now, because if we sit it out, we can end up with somebody in the White House or in the governor's mansion or in the city commission chambers that's controlling our lives, and if we don't vote, school board all the way down to that.
Right.
So I think people are really seeing the importance now of voting. So I think up until now it was taken for granted. But it's a lot of excitement this year, and I think a big reason for that is what we've seen in government over the last few years.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking too that sometimes I feel like, and just even at this age, not even younger, that our elected officials don't really care about what the people want. It's more of I'm just going to do what my Democratic Party says, or I'm just going to do what my Republican Party says. And nobody's like coming to the middle and compromising, or even thinking about, well, you know, what do your constituents want? What's the best for them?
Right.
It's like it's only their agenda. So then sometimes I will kind of sit back like, well, you know, what's the point? So what's the point of voting if, you know, it just seems like they're going to do their own thing anyway?
I think what we're seeing now is, I mean, this is the whole progressive movement. I also think that was the whole Tea Party movement as well, was getting the people, giving the people really saying this is what we want. So it's moving away from the establishment DNR to more of a, okay, what are the people asking for? So when you talk about the progressive movement throughout the country, a lot of those progressive candidates are the ones that are winning, and outside of the establishment candidates as well. It started, I mean, Bernie Sanders really could have been the first person or the first president to run on that ticket, and the Democratic Party did a lot to avoid that from happening. And I think they thought that it would go away. That idea of this is who the people want would go away, and we would keep our establishment candidates. But we're seeing that throughout the country. We're seeing it locally, and I think it's getting more towards what you think, because I think most people thought that way, and instead of being, I guess, apathetic to the government and to races, people are becoming more involed, and so it's getting that opposite effect, which I think is good.
I think we did see more involvement, especially because maybe 2 weeks ago, I guess, we talked about first. And we talked about how President Barack Obama was our first black president, and it was just such a boost of voting. It was just like rock the vote, this the vote, that the vote, you know, whatever, and everybody was getting out, young people, rap songs, and you know, all okay. It was just really, you know, a great movement of. But I wonder if it was just a hype and not really an importance.
I was just thinking that because you have more and more women now who are taking office. So the hype is not just, oh yeah, we went out. It's, you know, we want to be a part of this movement, not just going to vote, but now actually taking office. So I think that first bought in new first. You know, think of Atlanta. I mean, it's across the country now. So people are understanding there's a higher piece to this, and we just got to get, you know, into the action, not just sit back
and watch it happen. So what would be something that you would say to a young person that is 18 and not, you know, well versed in any of it, you know, especially today? I mean, they don't read.
You said it like that? No.
And I say it because I'm experiencing it in the classroom.
Well,
what did y'all read in chapter 1?
Take pictures then. Here's a picture of one candidate. Here's a picture of another candidate. Just figure it out.
But just but just to express the importance of it, you know.
I think it's just look at the news. You know, look at what's going on in this country. Look at what's going on around us. You know, and so many things affect our lives. From, I mean, even if it's not us directly, with what's going on with you know, illegal aliens, well, what they consider illegal aliens, but people who are not from this country, who they're getting stripped away from their families. If you look at mass incarceration, if you look at just different laws that affect us every single day, and our government does not care about it, and they don't care about it because we sat out the last few elections.
That's correct.
And so, I mean, even on the midterm elections, I think, Barack Obama spoke, you mentioned before, he spoke a few weeks ago. He came out of hiding, just to give his speech,
He did.
to encourage people to go vote. And I agree with him that this is probably what we're going to be dealing with now is the most important period of time when it comes to our government, locally, nationally, statewide, and everything. So I would tell anybody that's 18 years old that whoever whoever becomes in office around this time are going to be the people that affect their lives the most.
Wow.
Because it's 4 years, 8 years,
That's right.
whatever
That's
time
right.
period, and this is their adult life.
Right.
By the
Does
time
begin their adult life,
they're 26 or however it goes, they would have been entered into the workforce.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe thinking about starting a family towards the end of that.
Right.
So what goes on from now on will affect them for the rest of their lives.
I had a chance to do, as you know, the midterm election is so important.
Right.
I had a chance to do a get out and vote tour during Barack Obama's term, his last term, and we went all over the state of Florida. And it was great because we went to a lot of colleges, really getting them to understand, hey, this is not a joke.
Right.
But they sat out.
Right.
And it affected us.
Right.
So he wasn't able to do as much as he wanted to do because he didn't have the people in place to help push the purpose.
Right.
So, the midterm, sometimes we kind of put it to the side because it's not the presidential one, it's not the big hype. But I do feel like it's an important factor.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. We do the presidential election, but that other one, what? Yeah. Oh.
Key.
Today I was supposed to go vote. Oh well, it's kind of like.
Right.
But I mean, speak to how important it is to have all the steps of your congressperson, your city council person, your governor, and all of that is not done in the presidential election, it's done. We vote every 2 years.
Midterm.
Virtually, we vote every 2 years.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the midterm is so important, and I think the Republican strategy was to control Barack Obama's presidency through Congress, through the U.S. reps, through the Senate, and then even it trickled down to the states. Because we sat out on those midterm elections, that's when a lot of the governors are elected as well. So they were able to control, even on the state government side, what went on in each individual state. So we have a lot of these, the red states that were controlled by Republican governors, Republican U.S. Not U.S. reps, but their House of Representatives, in whichever form that it was also ran by Republicans. So a lot of policies that were put in place over the last probably 8 years are conservative Republican policies. And because we sat out all of those times, and a lot of these people have been in office for, depending on what state it is, 4, 6, 8 years. And so all those policies come in place. So what we need to focus on, I won't say we, but the focus needs to be you worry about who's in the president's seat, but they've shown us through their strategy how to control that.
Right.
So now we need to get people in the Senate. Now we need to get people in the Congress. Now we need to get, when I say we, I'm assuming
we the people.
But now we need to have people in place that can make sure that those policies that are troublesome don't invade our lives the way that they can be. So I tell people all the time, you can tweet and Facebook about Trump, all day, but that tweet in that Facebook post not gonna get them out of office. So let's tweet about going to the polls. Let's.
So we're gonna break this down even further in just a minute. I'm gonna go check on something, and then we gonna get for real deep because I got questions.
Okay.
I vote, but I got questions. So hold that thought. Don't talk no more.
I got you.
Button it up.
I know.
Don't say another word.
Whatever.
It's too hot right now.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it,
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got, or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, There are no perfect answers, but you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
So Kitchen Talk, CTC.
Conversations that cook.
I like it.
I have to test them.
You got it. Hey.
I'm just saying.
We
y'all-
always ready. It's like I'm
Not-
ready to vote right now.
Right,
I'm ready.
right.
Hey, don't be playing.
So let's get back into a little bit of what you were just saying. So tell us the importance of making sure that we, number one, go and vote.
Right.
But how that lines up, what's the linear kind of thing to how, I don't want to say how rules and laws become, but not just the fact that we vote for a president, but how important it is when you were talking about Republican governors and how important it is to have the right people all the way up the chain.
Well, the policies pretty much trickle down. So if we start from the local level, for example, city commission seats, city commission, your city commissioners, they in Leon County anyway are the ones who pick the police chief, for example. The police chief, of course, determines how the training and things that happen on the local level, and of course in national news, we know how important it is to have a good police department.
They're not trained.
Right, if they're not trained. So the city commission does that. The city commission determines our utilities.
Right.
If we're going to be a private company or a public company. The city commission, they make votes on even some gentrification type ideas, development, and things that go on in our city. And the same thing with the county commissioners, they make determinations when it involves that. It's even the Children's Council has been a big issue right now locally. So even locally, those things are very, very important. And then you go up to the state level, our representatives on the representative side, and then you have your senators also. Those are the ones who vote on the decisions that even make it up to the governors. And so then the governor can make a decision whether he want to veto or keep it in place. But that's another level so we have different people that can make those decisions. And on the state side, even money that goes towards the schools, like FAMU, what determines what money that they get is determined in our state capital.
It's dirty word.
And that's right.
Because if they pull that money or change the rules.
Change the rules.
Seen.
They need to change the rules a different way. And so that's why that's important. And if we had the right governor there, there might be somebody that could say, hey, you need to look at this a different way. But it's still like the state reps, the state senators are the ones who really vote on those things day to day. And then the state reps and the state senators, they trickle down the budget. Some of our local nonprofits are sometimes looking for state appropriations to go into to help out with their nonprofits. And so even on that level, it can affect us locally all the way down. And then on the national level, when you look at what's going on in the U.S. House and in the Congress and the U.S. Senate, they're the ones that they come up with the bills, they come up with the laws, and then the president is the one that has to, ultimately he can veto them or not. What he's been doing a lot of is these executive orders that's been hurtful. So he's been skipping, the Congress and
just doing
it. But you need people that's going to hold him accountable. And right now, there's nobody that's holding him accountable. We look at the Supreme Court.
Which is
right
huge
now,
right
it's
now.
huge. It's major. And the person that they're looking at right now, and it's a big deal,
It is.
but the Republicans have control over the Senate and the House, and so most likely they'll get their pick. And there won't be anybody in place to block it. So you can see how on each level major decisions are being made. And if we just had control of the House, then we can, again, stop some of these policies, some of these people that they're trying to push. And it forces him to be, less, I want to say, dogmatic about his decisions. Because if he knew there were people in place that were holding him accountable, then he would have to try to negotiate more and be in the middle, which was the position that Barack Obama was in.
Which is why, that midterm election, before he got elected, was important. Because now he knows he has almost full reign.
Exactly.
Do what he wanted to do.
Exactly. And that's what Barack Obama ended up having to okay, well, I won't do this if y'all do this, it was a lot more negotiating, pandering, and working. Which some people might say that's good government when you have to work both sides, you have to reach across the aisle.
Shouldn't it be?
It should be.
Because
but,
I'm thinking that how can America be united when our heads are not?
It's one side
when
or the
our
other.
head is
Right.
not united.
Right.
So how can you unite the people when y'all won't even work together?
Right. Yeah.
You know?
It has to be some meeting in the middle. I
Yeah.
think. We're way over here and
Right.
they're way over there. And
Right.
it has to be somewhere in the middle.
I mean, we all have, you know, our beliefs, our set of standards or whatever, but at some point we got to come to the table and reason together.
Right. Right.
But it seems like it's like not going on.
And that, to
so
me,
you
comes
still
with
have
leadership.
more division. Right.
Because if
Right.
the leader comes in with a greater vision, then even if I don't agree with you 100%, well, you know what? Let's do it this way. Let's
Right.
figure it out.
Right.
And I think because of that detachment, everybody's doing their own thing.
Right.
You know, I want
Right.
to stay on the left. I want to stay on the right. This is
Right.
how I feel.
Right.
And I'm not budging.
And not budging. That's the part that gets me is that you as the person in power are not budging no matter how it affects me as the constituent.
Right.
That's why it's important to educate and to get our younger folks in understanding how they play a vital role in the, you know, the continuation or the development of what America is
Right.
and what government is and how we can work together for a common cause.
Right.
I would say the older ones as well, because where I grew up and how I grew up, it was mainly grandmother them. They would vote for grandma and granddad would vote for whoever showed up at church on Sunday.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Souls to the pole.
So, yeah. Well, come here,
I
vote
love
for
it.
me. Oh, he must be a good guy.
Because he came to church.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
it. You know.
But I mean, I'll admit too that sometimes I don't know what that person's platform is, or how can I be sure that what you're saying, or even if you do come to the church, or you know, am I using my powers of discernment to say, okay, yeah, this is a really good person, I know this is not. It's like you.
That's
it's,
what's another.
it's like you
It's killing
don't
us.
know, and then. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. Can I just be transparent
honest.
right
You in the
at
house.
this moment?
Yes.
When I tell you I'm sick of looking at the news,
Hello.
I don't want to turn it on because it bothers me.
But you know, you have to turn it on.
I know.
And that's what happens. Because we have not turned on, everything is happening to us.
Right.
We're off. So we need to be on.
That's
I love
true.
what you said earlier, what Barack said, what President Barack.
Right.
Go vote.
Right.
Don't turn it off. Don't
Yeah.
boo. Don't tweet.
Yeah.
Go vote.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But more than anything, get educated.
Right.
So we talked about how we, you know, first got our registration. Is really that education. So my dad said, "Hey, look at this person and look what they're trying to do, what they want to do."
Right.
I don't know if we do enough of that, and I don't know if the candidates do a great job too with laying out their platform so that it is transparent.
Right.
You know, you could go to their website and get some information from there.
Yeah, but you're not getting everything. And then if you're not like a researcher or somebody that's gonna really dig deep, really all you getting is surface.
Right, and I think we have to do a better job in forcing them to do that.
Right,
Because I think that is a problem where, and especially in our community, a lot of the candidates, they just know that all they have to do is show up at certain churches.
That's correct.
And all they have to do is get the
correct.
backing of certain pastors,
Right.
and then that they can win our community, you know, and that's a shame.
Right.
Because then those same churches, those same pastors, those same leaders in our community that hold these people out to be their candidate don't hold those same candidates accountable.
That's correct.
And so we help them get in office, but they don't do anything for our community
That's
once
correct.
they get into office.
That's correct.
And so what we have to do is, one, we have to educate ourselves, or even make sure that those people who are bringing them to us to say, hey, this is our guy, vote for him. Well, why? Why is this your guy?
Yeah.
What did your last guy do for our community? You know, like what is this guy going to do for our community? Write it down, put them on video, you know, take a picture.
Right.
And then that way, if they don't do it in 2
Right.
years or 4 years or 6 years or whatever, we make sure that they don't get back in that
Yeah.
seat.
That's correct.
And the more that we get involved that way, the more political power that we'll have. One of my favorite speeches from Malcolm X is the Battle of the Bullet, but he talks about having political power. He talks about we have to control the politics in our community,
Right.
because when we control the politics in our community, then we control a lot of things. That's money, you know. That's you know, not just money, but
Leadership.
that's our children, that's our leadership, our schools.
Right.
All of those things make sense if we can control that political power. And that is not just let these people walk through and say, hey, I'm your guy, and then that's it. Or they pay people to wave those signs.
They do.
You know, like those people are not just happy to be waving signs.
Some people,
I don't wave some signs. I didn't get no money.
You want a side hustle now. I can talk to a few people for you. Get
But
you a
lot of people out there waving signs are getting paid for it.
Yeah.
It's not just they happy to do it.
Right.
You know, I mean, and that's why we got to ask questions. We just can't assume that because this person got the most signs in our neighborhood that they are right for our community.
I mean, that's
because they have
the largest budget.
Right. To get a lot of signs.
That's correct. That's correct.
And one thing that I do, I look at the money. And for me, if a lot of the money that you're getting are from people who don't have my community best interests at heart, then I don't trust you. And that's not somebody that I want to represent me. But for other people, it might be, okay, this person, gave them money, they must like them, so they might want to support that person. For me, it's, I look at the money. I look at if they've been in office for some years, what have they done, prior to that? If they gone from one seat to another seat, what did they do for my community when they was in this other seat? Right. So just kind of, I educate myself that way. And I think we also have to do our job to educate people who are not that interested.
I think it's also giving people the chance. There's a new amendment in Florida that we're trying to vote in. We have more than 1 million people.
Amendment 4.
They can't vote.
Right.
Because they committed
Oh,
a
yeah,
felony.
I saw that. And my question is, and I don't know, maybe that might be another kitchen talk. Seriously.
Because it's an important
But let's, so if I have not registered to vote yet, can I still register to vote?
You can still register to vote. The deadline to register is October 9th for the November election.
Okay, so October 9th for November, and then I can register absentee ballot, so I don't actually have to go to the polls.
Right, you can request an absentee ballot. For the college kids, if they want to still vote in their local election wherever they're from, they can still request a ballot and then vote absentee.
So they just request from their from where they're from,
right?
And they'll send it, and they just send it back.
Correct.
But if I'm on campus,
same thing. If you're on campus, and that's the choice that they have to make. If some people that's on campus want to say, "Hey, I'm gonna be here for the next 3 or 4 years. I want to vote locally," they can actually change their address up until the day, up until the November 6th date. Okay. They could just go in and say, "Hey, this is where my voting registration is." They go to what, the courthouse, or they go to the courthouse.
Is there a space on campus to vote?
There is going to be a space on campus.
And I keep saying campus like FAMU is the only campus. Yeah. But on our campuses.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I did have a student that asked. So they can still vote. They can still register to vote.
That's important, register.
And then where would you advise a person to go? Like if it's just like one website or maybe 2 websites to say, okay, let me check out what's going on.
Locally, I just say Leon County Supervisor of Election. Just Google it; it'll pop right up. And then on there, it has sample ballots. It direct you to register to vote. Everything that you need is on the Leon County Supervisor of Election website.
Does it give you candidates and whatever amendments we're doing?
It tells you the people. Like on the sample ballot, it'll tell you the people and what.
And then you can look it up from there.
You can go look it up from there.
That is good. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
It's research.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, we gotta research. We gotta put it in the
We do. We gotta do better.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us in the kitchen. Appreciate you.
It's a little hot in here, but
I know.
We need to do
another. It
is a hot one.
Yeah, it is a hot one, definitely. So these guys, they gonna come back next week. I think y'all gonna come back next week.
As long as you cooking.
You know what? See, this all right here. This is what I have to deal with.
There's food. I'm here. I think we need to do that for voting. Yeah. There's gonna be food here.
You know, a lot of black people will show up anyway.
You know what? Y'all need to stop. So thank you so much. See you guys next week.
Other people come for cookies. I'm serious.